Well, hello proxies, it's your boy Josh. You might be wondering, oh Josh, don't you usually have a cool intro followed by a sick montage and then a great breakdown of the character? And well, unfortunately Editor 1 has a family passing, so we of course told them that they had to take a couple weeks off, and Editor 2 is working on another project for the next week or so before they can come back to work on our other videos. So please go show them some love because they still watch the videos and read your guys' comments. It'd be good to, at least acknowledge them. So that leaves me here, budget editor Josh, but never fear because today we'll still give you all a great overall breakdown of Lucia, just with a ton more scuff and hopefully a lot more memes. And just don't forget that this information is subject to change. Y'all were blasting the other CCs last time because they were talking about some the Orphe pre-release kit. And yeah, man, that sucks. So let's try to suck less this go around. So where is Lucia? What's Lucia? And why is Lucia? Those are the questions we're going to answer today. First, Lucia is a buffer. Insane revelation here, guys. But hey, I heard, Josh, that she can do a bit of damage in her kit. Can I make her a DPS? And for that very reason, that very question, I put this one first before the rest of the guide because I want to squash it right now. No, she's not meant to be a DPS. And unlike M6 Astra, there's no saving this little kid. And by kid, I mean like Billy Goat kid. Bad joke. So Lucia, how does she work? Well, her whole shtick revolves around you getting into what's called the dream state by getting 100 dream points. Welcome to a world. Bit. You can gain these dream points via different abilities, and there are two different categories of abilities, Whim and Harmony. Consider Whim enhanced attacks, regardless of the skill category, and Harmony as enhanced attacks. Anytime you were to enter into the dream state, you can actually proc a quick assist and create a veil that increases the party's individual's max HP by 5%, each lasting 40 seconds. Repeated triggers of this can extend the veil's uptime up to 300 seconds. So at any point, if you don't see the fun city lights around, the run is buns, you hear? When you enter into the dream state at 100 dream points, you'll either consume dream points to convert Whim attacks to Harmony, aka you'll enhance those attacks, or when Lucia is off-field, she'll do Aftershock. Boom! You see that? Replay that for little Johnny sitting in the back with the bad left eye who got that from Jeffrey with the G, the known school bully during a session of dodgeball during gym class. Anyways, all your abilities will be for this particular buff, and when in the dream state and after attacking with enhanced attacks of Whim to Harmony or activating Aftershock off-field, the party gains the Dreamer's Nursery Rhyme state, with which you'll increase the damage of the party by 20% for 12 seconds. Yeah, that's just the core buff, folks. TLDR, when you go into dream state, swap off so you can use her Aftershocks. Best utilize the time with your on-field Rupture, even if she looks super cute. Let's move into the real goodies first, her regular special, which is considered a Whim attack. This means that the regular special can get enhanced into Harmony once in the dream state, like this. Boom! Magic, just like Mother Francesca's magic pasta and her signature red sauce. But the real red sauce is actually the EX special. This will summon the hands of Magaraga to slap a YN, which will allow the team to gain the Dark Breaker state. And when in the state, sheer force will increase by a 12 base, and for every 200 points of HP, you can gain sheer force up to a max of 900, meaning you'll want exactly 24,000 initial HP. And you can tell that by the menu screen HP here to get the max sheer force buff for your team. Yep, folks, that's right. You have to have a 24 karat gold Labubu in order to max out her buffing potential. Also, this buff will last for 20 seconds, just enough time for a stun window. And if you have a Veil up from before and you activate the EX special, you can extend the Veil's buff duration for longer, just for as long as you're available to eat D's. No. And after the EX special, you can jump to the 5th basic of your basic attack string, like so. Your basic attacks are pretty useless with the exception of the 5th. That'll allow you to gain 40 dream points. So essentially, don't use the basic unless the 5th is popped after the EX special. But no, with 60 from the EX special and 40 from basic 5, the auto gets you into the dream state. Then let's get to the side dishes. First, the chain that chains, but the ultimate summons a kaiju and literally slaps you on the back as you go on a rodeo across the screen, to which after you'll land and deal a massive blast of ether. Wait, hold on now. Rewind that in. Rewind over here. Yep. Slow down. Enhance.
Oh my god.
So you can actually quick assist off of this and leave a circle called a Starlight Convergence, healing you for 1.6% of Lucia's max HP, the effect ending after 4 seconds of leaving the circle or being swapped out. When pressing the ultimate, do not input any directions. Literally just take your Cheeto covered fingers off the keyboard, because if you are to input a direction during the start of the ult, you will engage her 3-second version of the skill, whereby she rides the ethereal all the way to Narnia. By not inputting a direction, you get the shortened version, still with all of its benefits and the quick assist and convergence buff, and gets you into the dream state faster. And what's even better about the ult is that if you're already in dream state, the next time you exit, you can gain an immediate 100 extra points, this only being able to be processed once and can stack for, well, obvious reasons. And Lucia dodges, Lucia parries, but note that her dodge counter and quick assists are whim attacks, which will consume your dream points. Be careful to use them, as the dream point system actually disincentivizes you to do so. It's a big old no-no. And now we get to the build. Here's the signature, and I know I'm making a few JJK references, but literally, bro, like this is like the Prison Realm box from the Shibuya arc. Like, it's so blatant, bro. Come on now. The Dreamblade Hearth is a unique signature for supports because of its HP-ness. Yup, the advanced stat is HP, which no other relevant WEngine has, making this signature one of those trigger or feed Jufufu moments. Although, unlike the DPS characters with Lucia, it's not bad to invest into her energy regen, yet the passive bonuses from the others are just weaker than having an HP-related bonus. We'll get to the Mindscapes later, but spoilers. The WEngine is a slightly better investment than the M1, in my very humble and monotoned opinion. The alternative WEngine options revolve around the Weeping Cradle and Unfettered Game Ball. Yeah, if you have this lying around in the back of your storage and we're trying to find some use for it, well, here you go, but only for Priest. See, the Game Ball only works for Ether Weak enemies. If they aren't, you can't activate the passive. Womp womp. But overall, the many miasmic bosses tend to have a paired weakness with Ether, so it's not a bad option. Just be ready to swap in other options or just get the signature outright. It's easier to build around, easier to use, easy breezy. Cover girl. Drive Discs are simple as well, with the Moonlight Lullaby coming in as the best overall option. The Astro Voice is not as good. Remember that you're not consistently quick assisting enough to justify this option, and regardless, unless you're bringing in a trigger or some other wacky option. And in the fourth slot, it'll depend on what your weapon is and how close you are to the 24 karat go Labubu threshold. If you have great HP substats with the signature, energy regen is the primary focus so that you can run a 2-piece swing jazz. If you need more HP, then go for the 2 Yunkoi tails. And if you're not running the signature at all, more than likely you're going to have to rely on the main stat of your 4, 5, and 6 slots, all being HP, just to even get close to the 24k threshold. And boom, that's our build. It's dangerous out there in the tall grass, so take these builds and farm guides with you on your journey to become the Ethereal Master. And swing on by Twitter or Discord to download these one-stop shop infographics for yourselves. Well, now enough of the chatter, let's game and show y'all Lucia. And as you can tell, I'm so excited to use her. The best teams right now, well, there are only 2, consisting of Yishen variation teams and Minato variation teams. But in 3 weeks, we'll get a whole new frontrunner in Yidhari to help mix things up. So unfortunately, I can't go too in-depth with teams because the Rupture class it is what it is, but understand the third slot can vary based off your stun and support needs. And let's get to a showcase here. All right, folks. First, let's get Lucia out on the field, and because we have nothing to do but twiddle our thumbs, let's start with a 5 basic from Lucia to get 40 points of whim and an EX special. Then into Yishen we go. A few dodges, parries, and back of the mind counting as this buff lasts for 20 seconds. We should be prepared to use another EX special right before you hit the stun window, and boom. Remember, Lucia's chain is legit non-factor, so stick with your Yishen and Jufufu. And make sure you have Jufufu's buffs flowing and then burst all over the ethereals with your ink. I mean, damage, a lot of damage. Then with this 6 cost team, I'm assured a second stun window before Miasma, so I take the opportunity to overextend myself and use ults and try to fidget my way into the second stun. And boom, there we go. Give us all that good old day twist. And this is phase 1. From here, make sure you still maintain the buffs by popping EX specials to get the HP bonus and the sheer force from Dark Breaker. Then, coming out of the Miasma with the third stun, pretty much served to you on a platter, start unloading your full mega volts. Like, what do you mean it was assaulted this entire time? Like, there's no way you got out those personalities on that silk robe of yours. Come on now. and then just make sure to parry, defensive assist enough to get the fort stun, and that'll wrap up the fight. A comfortable 50k with built units and the skills of a caveman, and 60k if you're Lenol or anybody close to a developed prefrontal cortex. For those on the budget side, you guys can expect this team to perform at a 30 to 40k clip, and when comparing Lucia specifically to the Jshoeas, we actually get an almost 40% potency increase, especially with the sheer force bonuses. It just, you know, leans a lot more into sheer force, and what Rupture does much better than Asher can. Now we slide over to the Mindscapes, and just like how Pokemon cards are investments, so too are Mindscapes a costly luxury, but can net you greater performance. But come on, like, God, let's be for real. People are lining up 3 days in front of a Target to buy cards at MSRP. I just want to rip packs like the degenerate gambler I am. Anyways, Mindscapes are, they're chill. M1 is an 18% all res ignore and increased decibel generation rate. And when in the dream state and using abilities that are whim to be upgraded to harmony, you can gain 1 stack of echo. 4 stacks can be held, and when the Dreamer's Nursery Rhyme ends, that's the 20% damage bonus increase, you can refresh it. It's very much a convenience type of ability, but the 2 bonuses you get from the Decibel Gen Up and the All Res Ignore are way too juicy. Especially when considering that if you were to max it out to its full potential, you could in theory use 3 ults, 2 regular and 1 technique ult, and a single stun window from M2+. I still have to do other testing at M0, so this video will come out right after this if I can get it out on time. Just make sure to show some love to the editors, alright? M2 is another potency increase, and when you're in the Veil, your harmony attacks deal 15% more damage. Yet the agents with Darkbreaker also gain 50% sheer force damage bonus. Now, I'm gonna be straight up with y'all. This Mindscape is buns. It is literally just slightly more numbers, and the only use for it is to get you closer to the other Mindscapes, like M3 and M5, which are skill increases. These are quite strong for Lucia because they can increase the potency of the Darkbreaker buff. Then with M4, it's a cute decibel generator for your team. When the Veil is activated or refreshed, your team gains 100 decibels once every 15 seconds. I could see this being pretty good if they allowed it for every 5 to 10 seconds. Personally, I would love to see that, but that's the M4. Here we are. And lastly, the M6, which you're only getting here if you thought she'd be as crazy good as Astrial's M6, or you just really want the wallpaper in game. Because this increases Lucia's attack by 2% of her HP, then allows Harmony to always crit with a crit damage increase of 30%. Like, she was hitting like a wet spaghetti noodle before. This is not the 1000 damage bonus that Asher gets, so let's not even try to justify this as DPS Lucia. But, I mean, here you can see that's pretty okay damage, but yeah, it's... well, you're not getting too much bang for your buck. Well, regardless, this basically means that M1W1 is probably the best value per your buck if you have disposable income from your job. Yet, if you have extra polys lying around, I highly suggest that you at least go for the base character and a single copy of that WEngine. That's what I'll be going for most likely, as I potentially like to save some other pulls to see how Yidhari pans out. But that ends my somewhat zoomer and average guide to Lucia. If you like this format, let me know. Again, I'm only doing this style because my editors are out. But if you like this more somehow, let me know in the comments. And make sure to catch us over on Twitter for live Q&As, account reviews, and DA helps. Oh, and fun events, collabs, podcasts, and more around ZZ. It's your boy Josh, and we'll catch you in the next one.